on the Roundtable Talk, we have featured a host of high-profile individuals such as cabinet ministers, permanent secretaries, directors, and a host of other high-profile guests. As we proceed with the Roundtable Talk, we would like to announce that it is now going mainstream. Yes, you heard me right. Going forward, the Roundtable Talk will be broadcast on Millennium TV, Channel 95 on the Topstar decoders, on YouTube, and as always on Smart Eagle's Facebook page. Join me every Thursday at 15:30 hours as I bring to you more and more exciting guests for more information, entertainment, and education. I'm Nakiwe Simpungwe, your host. It is said water is life, and if we are all in agreement, Roundtable viewers across the globe, then help me make welcome to the Roundtable discussion this afternoon the Minister of Water Development and Environmental Protection of the Republic of Zambia, Honorable Raphael Nakachinda. Honorable Minister, welcome to the Roundtable discussion this afternoon.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, and whatever the time is for those that are viewing us across the globe, say good morning, good evening. I have been looking forward to to interact with you on this platform, and I look forward to an engaging and intelligent discussion.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. We've actually been also looking forward to having you. And just out of curiosity, did I mention your name right? Is it Raphael or Raphael? Which one is it?
Well, depending on your dialect, I wouldn't really be very particular. Of course, others say Raphael, others say Raphael. Where I come from in the village, where we speak Tonga, they will say Raphael, and all kinds of pronouncements. But at the end of the day, at least this helps me know that people are calling for me.
Great stuff, Honorable Minister. Now, straight into it, what is the mandate of the Ministry of Water Development, Sanitation and Environmental Protection?
Well, I think maybe for starters, I'd say that His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia, Dr. Edgar Chagalungu, I think has put a high premium on water supply services, sanitation services, as well as issues to do with the management and protection of our environment in the wake of threats of climate change. And that was demonstrated by his pronouncement in 2016 for the creation of this ministry. Of course, most of these programs, activities were undertaken by departments that fell under other sector ministries. But he, I think, in his vision, felt that there was need for a clear, focused thrust in dealing with issues of water supply, sanitation, and environmental management and protection. And in 2016, we had the creation of this ministry, obviously to formulate and review policies around issues of the management of water resources, issues to do with sanitation services, issues to do with environmental protection, and also, of course, the ministry is also responsible for the formulation of laws in that same vein. And beyond that, of course, we also have a mandate to implement programs, projects, and policies that the ministry formulates through the various departments that fall under the ministry, and also agencies that fall under the ministry. And by extension, also, we have utility companies that help us, particularly in the area of water supply. So, in a summary form, that's what I could say.
Great stuff. 2016, that's a pretty new ministry.
Indeed, we've been in existence for 5 years. The ministry has been privileged, obviously, to have had 4 ministers. The first one having been Honorable Kazia, later on Dr. Wanchinga, and then Dr. Jonas Chanda, and now myself. And I can say that what the ministry has achieved in the last 5 years basically beats the record of what may have been achieved in the past 50-something years from the time of our independence. Because when it comes to, for example, our quest to achieve the universal access to clean and safe water, by 2014, we were staggering around 55 to 60% of our people having access to clean and safe water. But from the time the ministry was created, we've been able to make progress in that regard. I think we are comfortably somewhere around 72% and still, making progress. In terms of sanitation, of course, it looks like as a country there was more talk and emphasis on water supply, but not necessarily sanitation services. But from the time the ministry was created, now we have been able to make progress from somewhere around 25% of our people accessing sanitation services. We are somewhere around 54 to 57% of our people that have access to sanitation services. Of course, issues of environmental protection have now been more or less where they are more distinct in terms of definition of what we need to do. But maybe before I get there, I think it will be important to take note that when it comes to the sector, we have clearly under the Vision 2030 an ambition to achieve 100% access to clean and safe water for our people. When I say 100%, every Zambian to have access to clean and safe water. And now that we're at 72, I think we seem to be marching at a good pace. Hopefully, His Excellency was saying that we need to achieve that before the target year of 2030.
But Honorable, you would agree that that is a very ambitious agenda to have 100% of the citizens have access to clean and safe water by 2030, especially that just last year we saw the head of state, tour a number of compounds, and where he noted with sadness that there was a lot of areas that still had no access to water. So what programs are you putting in place to be able to achieve this very ambitious target?
I think, first of all, we have a master plan under the ministry. We have what we're calling the Urban Water Supply and Sanitation program. We also have the Rural Water Supply and Sanitation program. Under the Urban Water Supply and Sanitation program, you've seen we've invested colossal amounts of money in infrastructure through the utility companies. In this case, I think it will be important for me to mention that we have 11 utility companies. Each province, of course, as a country, we have 10 provinces. Each province has a dedicated utility company that is servicing that particular jurisdiction, save for Muchinga, which is a new province that is yet to have its own dedicated utility company. There's two, I think, fall under the Chambesh Water and Water Sanitation and Sanitation Company that originally was is in Northern Province, because Mchinga and Northern Province at some point were the same. But of course, the mining provinces like Copperbelt have more than one utility company. Through these utility companies, I think we've been able to have an investment of close to $2 billion going towards infrastructure. The reason why the percentages were very low in terms of our people accessing clean and safe water was a result of the fact that most of the infrastructure that was there or that existed across the country was mainly the one that was left by the colonial government, which was also laid with the component of segregation, because I think there were certain services that were just a preserve of the white minority of the time. And to that effect, even when the population has grown, we took over, or we attained independence. The few elite of our, population could access those services, but along, over time, of course, the population has been growing, and that infrastructure was also becoming obsolete. So, hence the injection of so much money in the infrastructure development, and hence the record that I was referring to of us achieving that level of percentage in terms of our people accessing clean and safe water. But I'm also must say that there are other components that I've come to discover that have led to some challenges in the towns that His Excellency has, or townships that His Excellency visited, where he noticed challenges in that regard, particularly in Lusaka, which is the capital city. We have townships like Matero, townships like Kanyama, townships like Chawama, who at some point had, water supply, infrastructure that was laid, including sanitation infrastructure that was laid. But in the early, or if not late 90s, there was a government policy pronouncement, pronouncement that was eventually implemented under the Chiluba government, where institutional houses were sold to sitting tenants. So most of the houses in these localities were sold to sitting tenants, some of which were working for the industry, working for government, and so on. And when they were retiring, or maybe they were retrenched, most of them opted to still stay in town. And to a large extent, because of the need to economically survive, you find that they may want maybe to extend their little house, maybe add 2-3 more rooms for commercial purposes, or maybe put some facility around their residential area. And I think there was a bit of a disjoint in terms of the planning unit under the local government or the local authority, and to that effect, regulation in that regard was very weak. So people began to build on, sewer pipes.
And how aggressive has your ministry been in pursuing this? Do you coordinate, for instance, with the other sector, for instance, the Ministry of Home Affairs, to ensure that such activities are brought to book? Because we see also, apart from just building, there's also the issue of vandalism. There's a lot of vandalism of these, equipment, and also septic tanks are left open, and so forth and so on. How aggressive is your ministry in ensuring that this, sketch is brought to?
I think immediately I was appointed and sworn in. Those were the early challenges that I identified, and we've made pronouncements to that effect. And I was since even communicated to other ministries, my counterpart, for example, under local government, to be able to highlight that there's a particular challenge, because the local authority is basically an agent to the Ministry of, or for the Ministry of Lands in terms of land allocation. And to that effect, we're trying to propose that as a way of enhancing smart planning for our residential areas, particularly the new ones, is that when anybody acquires a piece of land, the value of that piece of land should also have within it an embedded value for services, for example, for water supply services, sanitation, and can extend even maybe talk about issues of electricity, the value for connection of electricity, so that our residential places are well planned. You have already got these services while as you are developing your house. But maybe coming to discuss, conclude my submission on the earlier question you asked. So you find that these townships, because of the challenge of having unplanned development, the infrastructure for sanitation services, infrastructure for water supply got destroyed, because in certain instances you find a house has been built on pipes, and the weight of that house, obviously, it goes without saying that they end up being destructive. Even in low-density areas, Olympia and other places that were meant to really be residential places, you see that our town, has grown. The industrial area is full, and it looks like people are beginning to get into residential places to develop commercial entities. So you may find that all of a sudden, a 3, 4, 5, 10-story building comes up. It's a hospital that is sitting on infrastructure that was meant for domestic use. And because of those gaps, we've noticed that utility companies are end up being under pressure, because to basically accommodate that kind of infrastructure,